Towards the end of this program, we will play one clip from a congressman, if we've got time, for comic relief, his reaction to what Benjamin Netanyahu said. And President Obama, by the way, his first reaction was, yeah, I didn't watch the speech, I read the transcript, nothing new there. Then, thanks to the good folks at Politico, the White House actually delivered a response through Politico, which is a news magazine. The Washington Post, who is a friend of Obama, has been saying the White House needs to respond. They have to respond responsibly, accurately to what Netanyahu said, because so far their response isn't cutting it. Because as we'll see with the response that the White House gave through Politico, they are saying that, that Iran will in fact have nuclear weapons. All right, let's pick up where we left off on yesterday's program. And by the way, if you missed it, please go to our website. Please go to our website and watch it, voiceofresistance.com. And if you're enjoying the show, send a link to your friends. Just go, load up one of the videos, and then click however you do that stuff, and send a link to your friends and say, hey, watch this. Watch what Randall Terry is saying. And maybe you can help spread the word by going to people that you think would actually like an insightful program hosted by somebody who understands Orthodox Islam. So let's return to the question I asked at the beginning. What does Prime Minister Netanyahu know that President Obama doesn't know? Maybe nothing. And perhaps therein lies the problem, as we'll see. Let's start with the quote that we ended yesterday's show on.
In this deadly game of thrones, there's no place for America or for Israel. No peace for Christians, Jews, or Muslims who don't share the Islamist medieval creed. No rights for women, no freedom for anyone. So when it comes to Iran and ISIS, the enemy of your enemy is your enemy.
All right. They are going to be our enemy. Iran might be helping us right now to kill some of the Islamic State guys, but it's not for us, it's for them. It's because they do not want a strong Sunni Muslim opposition in the area. They want to dominate the entire region with Shiite Islam, not Sunni Islam. And as I've covered many times in this show, it's about a fight that started within the first generation after Muhammad's death, whether or not the Shiite of Ali, the party of Ali, believed that a blood relative of Muhammad must be the leader. The Sunnis said no, it could be any devout Muslim. And that fight was bloody, horrific, killing. I mean, the killing was horrible from square one. And it goes on to this day. So, next clip, please.
The difference is that ISIS is armed with butcher knives, captured weapons, and YouTube, whereas Iran could soon be armed with intercontinental ballistic missiles and nuclear bombs. We must always remember, I'll say it one more time, the greatest danger facing our world is the marriage of militant Islam with nuclear weapons. To defeat ISIS and let Iran get nuclear weapons would be to win the battle but lose the war. We can't let that happen.
That was actually Islamic State with a butcher knife, stolen weapons, YouTube, but Iran with intercontinental ballistic missiles. What he said was accurate, right? I want to quote again. The greatest danger facing our world is the marriage of militant Islam with nuclear weapons. He gets it. It's the wedding of nuclear weapons with an ideology. That's what we have here, folks. Islam is a religious, financial, military, political blueprint for how the world should be run. It's not just a faith. Like, you know, you go to the mosque once a week and say a few prayers. No, it's a blueprint for the behavior that is acceptable and the behavior that is not acceptable, for what people are allowed to do in the streets, what they're allowed to say publicly, what they're allowed to read, what they're allowed to publish. It is a blueprint for the subjugation of the world. And Muhammad and his successors had weapons, and they used them. If you look at a map of the Islamic area of the world, all of it was conquered. None of it came in through preaching. None of it, including Saudi Arabia. It was all through bloodshed and the terror of the sword. Without the sword in Islam's hand, it would perish. But what would happen if in the hand of militant Islam was a button to push, launch, launch, launch with nuclear warheads? What if an Islamic state, an Islamic government, was willing to be martyred? What if they said, if we blow up this country or that country, God will reward us. We'll probably be killed for it. There'll probably be a retaliatory strike. But we would all go to heaven. We'd send the Jews to hell, and we would destroy Israel. And we would be remembered as the heroes of Islam at this time. Do you get it? That's the jihadist creed, to be willing to die in battle to further Islam. So maybe they would be willing to use a nuke, take the retaliatory strike, and become martyrs and become heroes. That's the ideology of militant Islam. I'll be right back.
You have two choices. I mean, you can try to raise your children by design, or you will raise them by default. There are no perfect parents. We're going to get it wrong sometimes. If we have a plan, we've got a better chance of getting it right in the long run.
There is something deep within the heart of every human being that longs for parental acceptance and approval. When does a boy become a man?
Get a group of guys around and ask them that question.
I don't think there's a certain age. Some men stay boys their whole life.
I would say, 16, 18 years old.
Wow, that's a good question.
When they get bar mitzvah?
Well, I think when he has a child. So I just became at 56, 56 years old.
Without the power of the Holy Spirit changing us and giving us power over our sin, we can't hope to be the dads that our kids need us to be.
One of the greatest joys and passions that I have had for almost my entire life is music. And one of the best times that I had was putting together some albums in Nashville of songs that I wrote. One of the albums is called Dark Sunglasses Day. This is a country album, a lot of love songs and patriotic music. We've made it available to you online, and I hope that you'll go take a listen. You might be pleasantly surprised. You might even find yourself singing along.